Okay, so the deal is I've got Monkey here, good friend of mine, and
Hey.
he has a Star Citizen account. He has a ship and everything. But there's one catch here. He was not even aware there was a ship showdown. And I wanted to get his reaction to what's going on. So, Monkey, in 6 minutes, the
Mm.
final for the ship showdown, an event you probably didn't even know was going on,
Yeah.
is going to be wrapped up. And
Okay.
there is a ship in the running that does not even have a quantum drive. You know how like we get around the star system? You need to
Yeah.
like hit the B button and then you hold down B and it warps you, right? It warps you around, it quantums you to a new location.
Mm-hmm.
This ship, the MPUV cargo, does not have a quantum drive at all. Not
Wait,
one.
what?
And it's in the final.
How does it get
That's a great question. So there was a social media push and Reddit posts and Spectrum posts and all sorts of crazy stuff for this
Yeah.
MPUV cargo, right? And there's two different kinds of MPUVs. There's the MPUV cargo, it's the cheaper one, and then there's the
Yeah.
MPUV personnel, which is slightly more expensive that can fit like 8 people on it. And they're not meant to be ships. They're meant to be like support vessels that go between two real ships, and it's in the final for the ship showdown this year. It beat
What?
out the C2 Hercules, a massive ship that can haul like two, three, four tanks and can haul
Right.
cool ships.
Wow.
But this is the bracket, and whoever won goes forward. So you can see like the Carrack. It beat the Carrack, a quasi capital ship, exploration ship, which has its own snub ship. That get this, the snub ship on the Carrack, the Pisces, would have been a better pick than the damn MPUV.
I
The
mean, hey,
Pisces has its
it's
own
right.
quantum drive.
Yeah, it's the name, bro. But like, why did he? How did it even get that far? Then, like, literally, if it can't even get around that far places, then like,
Well,
I,
there's a couple theories.
mm,
So there's a couple theories like one, this has definitely been messed with. Like there's people that have been pushing this on social media, and you don't need a game pack or anything at all to vote. You can log in and hit a vote. You just have to make a free account, and there's
yeah,
no other hurdles. Like there's no like, oh, you have to wait 5 days to be an account and vote. There's no, oh, you have to have a game pack and be a backer. There's not even you have to buy a $5 skin and be a backer, which is
so
how
it's
I
pretty
started
much like
out.
a meme with that. Then, with that,
Basically, yeah, there's people that have gone to like all these different far reaches of the internet and gotten folks to sign up as an account on Star Citizen, and there's a free fly right now, by the way. So the theory I have, this is just my personal theory with nothing to back it up with, is I think that RSI sorry, CIG is
yeah.
hoping that people come to the RSI website and they're gonna, out of all those people who sign up for accounts, some
Hmm.
of them might decide to try out Star Citizen. They might try to free fly. So they have all these free ships to fly around in that are really cool, and
Yeah.
they went into the vote. They got to know some of these ships. So even though this is basically getting trolled at this point by the ship that has no quantum drive, this little guy, that's a person, by the way,
But
for
wait, so
scale.
so
It's very
so
small.
you can't put a constant drive or anything in it there, hey?
No, you can't. It
Ah.
absolutely, there's no possibility, and it's in the final in 2 minutes. The final is going to be 24 hours, and it's up against the Mercury Star Runner, which is one of the most liked, desired vessels in the game.
Mm.
And the sad thing about it is, this giant ship will probably lose to the MPUV cargo because the MPUV cargo just has this massive swell of thousands and thousands of fake, of I'm going to tread my words lightly here, lightly used accounts that were made just to vote in this vote.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just craziness. And this has been going on for like 16 days now. Each
Hmm.
one of these is a 24-hour period to do these votes. And I gotta say, it's the first time I've ever seen this with Star Citizen where it's been so doctored. And oh, by the way, to get the how did they pick the 16 ships? So it's more than 16 days of voting. But 16 ships. is they have to have a big social media and Spectrum presence.
Yeah.
So even to get people on the list, like that MPub cargo, they were able to use the social media influencing.
Oh,
So like it doesn't matter if it's a popular ship in the verse, it
yeah.
matters if it's a popular ship on social media on Spectrum, and that's it.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's something kind of frustrating about this is you could have like a very viable, very popular ship, but if it
Hmm.
isn't popular on social media, if it isn't popular on the forums, the Spectrum forums,
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't exist for this. And this is a major event every year. The top four get a new skin. You know,
Yeah.
like a mount in another game or um, like a brand new like skin from head to toe. Like it's a complete new paint job and skin. Like it's
Yeah.
really nice and it's a freebie for everybody who owns the ship. So now the MPUV cargo has one of those four skins this year. It deprived the Carrack of it. So it's like one of those things where it's just like, what is even going on at this point? Like, why would you do this? Why? For the
Uh,
lulls, I guess.
it's probably I rate it's probably for the loss of that day.
Yeah, and I just it's kind of like we were just talking about in Final Fantasy with like the blue mage. It's like
Yeah.
I guess like if you've been to Endgame as well, there's probably a lot of folks that are voting that way just for the fun of it. You know, like who
Yeah.
cares at this point? But it's frustrated a lot of like hardcore folks and stuff
Hmm.
because once again, the thing doesn't even have a quantum drive. Like any other ship aside from the M pubs would have been a good move.
Uh,
Okay, let's see. So the live showdown has just updated, I think, or at least it should have. I also found it funny they already pre-put in the MSR
yeah.
as the lead off on this one because the 600i Explorer was down by like 6,000 votes, so they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like,
Wait 1 second.
yeah,
All right.
it's done, but I can't. It won't load the new page. The new page is locking up, probably because everyone else is trying to see and get into it. There could also be bots. I mean, that's another thing to think about. Is there's no like captcha or anything. They
Yeah.
just it's like the honor system. Like, hey, you made an account. You're an owner of an account. That's about it. That's the only requirement. Is just you made an account.
Oh wow.
So I mean that's another thing to think about. Is like there could be bots, you know, voting with hundreds or thousands of votes,
Mm.
influencing these votes that are happening. It's pretty crazy, but internet spaceships are serious business to some folks, apparently. Like enough so to run some Python scripts, I guess, and start doing some voting. I don't know. Like right now, I can't even get in. It's locked up so hard.
Cheese knocker.
Look at this. This is crazy. This reminds me of the F5 wars
But
during the
wait,
annual sales when the
if
big
it's
fancy
locked,
ships come out. Yeah,
oh my,
it's literally just a
pretty
page with
much
a
locked.
bracket.
Jeez, like, how many people trying to get into that thing?
That's why I had to show you this. We were just talking before I started recording, and I was like, I got to show
Yeah,
you this to get a genuine reaction to somebody who isn't been in the trenches on this and
yeah.
kind of see what it's like.
Bro, it's like jam packed so that it can't even get into the page at the moment. There.
Because the MPUF cargo is involved. Every other day, where the MPUF cargo isn't involved,
Yeah.
that I've been home for that or awake for that matter, um, they like I've come on, no problem. It loads the page, no problem. When it has the MPUF cargo involved, instantly, it's like this. I've been on for 3 of the MPUF cargo's days, and all of them have been locked up like this at 12.
Jeez.
I'm gonna literally jump back a page just for the hell
Yeah.
of it. Maybe if I jump out of a page and go back to it, it'll work. It's literally the whole website though. It's completely locked.
Jeez.
Like if I saw the logs on CIG servers and they were like, "Hey, the RSI website's getting just absolutely slammed with like requests from the same
Yeah,
IP address, but like 15 different accounts, I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure they should have at least limited the votes then, or something with that then. Like
Yeah,
maybe do like an RP check or something. Like maybe I don't know whoever's actually whoever's got like who's been like playing the game or anything like that there.
yeah. It would have been best. It would have been best to do it that way, but that's the game they did. I mean, you've seen how our efforts are on Discord with even the bots on there about how much work goes into those.
Yeah,
Like that's the baffling part. Like somebody put a lot of effort if they did make a bot and shared it with other people or whatever and did all that.
yeah.
They put a lot of effort into this for just some little thing, just for some little joke. Like but here it is. These are the results. I mean, they were successful so far, and they might even be successful today. They might even get the final for the MPUV cargo, which is
Gee.
just baffling. Once again, the Mercury Star Runner is by far one of the most loved ships in the game.
Yeah.
Like it's synonymous with Star Citizen. Like if I was to recommend a mid-size explorer vessel that's an all-rounder that can basically do everything, it's the
Mm.
MSR. The only complaint I have is it's too expensive. But for what it is, it's a nice ship. And yeah, then you have the MPUV cargo, a literally cannot do anything without anyone else involved. Most ship, there's only one ship in the game that can sort of fit these things, the C2 Herc, and it beat the C2 Herc, by the way, and its vote, which I
Yeah.
was surprised by myself. I thought this is where it was going to get knocked out. I was like, okay, it beat the old school Carrack. Carrack already has a skin, etc., etc. It beat the C2 Herc, a new awesome ship from Crusader that just came out this year.
Yeah.
Origin literally has one of these things being built. It has thrusters off there as a display models. There's a lot of hype for the C2 Herc and the M2, by the way, but that's just the militarized version. And this is the most common, most popular, cheapest one. Like I cannot believe it beat the C2 Herc, and that's why the only reason I'm even considering it might beat the MSR.
Yeah.
The Mercury Star Runner is a very strong candidate. Look how it defeated the 600i, which is a really nice giant ship with three size 5 guns, rack after rack of giant missiles. I just decent sized missiles, not giant. But yeah, it's like I just I'm just kind of step back here a second and be like, what is the culture changing to for these type of events? I think CIG is going to have to make a change. They're going to have to make it so, look,
They're
you got to
probably
buy
going to have
something.
to sort out something there with that. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if people can meme around like that easily, that they're gonna have to like step up and be like, all right, we're gonna have to implement some rules to this thing that's you can get some proper votes and systems in place.
Yeah.
Then,
The only change they did this year was when you log in, you can't see the number of votes. You can't
yeah,
see the number of votes. And I think they're setting it up next year so when you don't log in, you still won't be able to see the number of votes. So if you come to the page not logged in, you still just see two like vote signs, and when you click on one, it says, "Hey, you need to log in to vote." And even
yeah,
then, either way, you won't be able to see the you won't be able to see the number. So they don't want you to lemming into voting. But that's not good enough for what we're dealing with here.
yeah.
People are being told by the boatload apparently, just log in with that new account we made for you or you made for yourself and just vote for the MPUV without considering anything, just vote MPUV. And
Yeah.
this is the silly result. I'm still locked out. I'm still trying to access the other pages. I cannot access any other part of this account, which is just I just hang on, I'm gonna hit the pledge store and see if that changes anything. Like that's how bad this is. I mean, really, this is ridiculous. It's now what, 5 minutes? 5 minutes
Mhm.
past?
And still can't get it. Wait, what happened?
Sorry, if it jumped off the page, I'm trying to get in via not logged in and see if that fixes it.
Oh, I mean, like the whole screen just went black there.
Hang on, hang on, hang on. I don't know why it does that. There we go. Can you see everything I see now? Can you see the other
Yeah,
page?
yeah, can see now.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in again and see if it works when I'm not logged in. I bet you it will. Yeah, it worked when I didn't log in.
What the?
Yeah, I don't know either. But if I log in, apparently it'll lock up. So here is the MSR versus the MPUV.
Hmm.
The MPUV cargo, the ship with no quantum drive that is not usable in any way, shape, or form in the current game, is got 100 plus votes over the Mercury Star Runner, one of the most popular ships in the game, one of the most beloved ships in the game.
Yes.
And it probably will walk away with this final if this continues, if this trend continues. And once again, I'm not saying the MPUV cargo is not like a good ship. Like for outpost work, when that finally
Yeah.
comes along, I could see it. So let's say if me, you, and a lot of the other folks and different orgs are all in this different area, right? We're all chilling. We all have outposts near each other. I have a mining outpost. You have a general store outpost. Somebody else has an outpost that's a clinic. Somebody else has an outpost that's like water purification for everybody, whatever the case may be, uh, being able to have these little MPUBs bouncing around, deploying cargo and deploying people, like picking them up and dropping them off random places, is useful,
Yeah.
very useful. But it's like from here to like where I can see on the ground. It's not meant for something even hundreds of kilometers away. It's not meant for that. It's meant for like super short range. It's meant for basically being a forklift, essentially. Like that's the most baffling part of this. I really hope everybody voting for this thing is not uh, 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 on a flight of fancy where it's like they're not realizing just how limited the MPUV cargo is.
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's the case. I think they're just they're kind of get these blinders on from what they're hearing from other people, or for the
Mm.
lulls, or some combination of the two, or the boredom. I don't know, but I just wanted a sanity check. That's why I'm glad I dragged you on to talk about it for a second, because it was like I don't know what to make of it.
Uh,
Yeah,
that,
if the MPUB cargo is crowned in the final, I don't even know what I'll do. I'll just literally just Uh, I don't think I can ever take the ship showdown seriously ever again. Then I mean I just don't know what else to say about it. Maybe
but,
that's the objective.
but I don't know. Maybe there might be a purpose behind the whole madness thing.
Yeah, maybe.
But like I said, like if there's going to be a use for it in the future, then hey,
Well,
that could be a
yeah.
reason.
Capital ships, proper capital ships will like full on capital ships will have the ability to field these things. In fact, they have space for them, specially made,
Yeah.
that are military class vessels, like the Javelin, the Idris at the very least, and then the even larger ones have tons of these things running around the fleet.
Yeah.
But that is a very specialized job set for it. It's like it's an extra. It's once again, it's like a piece of it's like a tool on the tool belt. It's not meant to be its own ship. It's not meant to be its own creature, its own existing thing that like it changes the game. It's just more of a helpful thing. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to dock this whole ship just to drop off like 4 SCU of cargo. Once again, this thing is small. To give you an iteration, this box on the bottom, you can kind of
Yeah.
walk inside and it has one seat in the front, like a jump seat, and a few SCU of cargo. This entire box can fit in the front of this Star Runner. Just the tunnel and the cockpit alone, right on the front here, is
Yeah.
bigger than that entire box. Just to give you an idea, if they zoom these out at 100%, 100%, you would
Yeah.
be laughing at the sheer scale difference. This thing, the MSR is freaking huge compared to the MPUF cargo. And there's a reason, because modules and weapons and gear have to have space. The
Yeah.
MPUF cargo is basically defenseless with no QD drive and no means to do anything whatsoever to evasive action or anything. I think it has flares and chaff. I think. I haven't tried it. I'm pretty sure it will
Oh,
come with those, but and some shitty shield, but nothing really worth mentioning.
yeah.
I'm kind of baffled by it. I get the lulls, I get it, but like to the final though.
Oof.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
about it.
that's big of it.
The only good news is like this week they're having the free fly
Yeah.
for newbies, and they're gonna have access to all 4 ships. So the funny thing is, with the free fly event, they will have access to the MSR. Once again, a great ship. The 600i, another great ship, very luxurious, very addictive if you're into luxury stuff. The C2, an amazing transport ship. If you're working with other people, is just fantastic. And
Yeah.
then they'll also have access to their blessed MPUV cargo. And I can't wait to see some of the folks that were told to hype this thing and vote for this thing regardless get into it and realize just how limited it is. The first time they spawn it off a station, or even better, off a planetary landing location, and
Mm.
it literally just can't do anything. I, I can't. I wish I was a fly on the wall for a lot of those experiences and I could record them. Like, this is it? This is what I voted for? This is all it is? Like, it's not even a fighter. It's not even a single seat fighter. It's not even a single seat utility ship that's like able to do something with its abilities. Sorry, I'm harping on it, but you get the point. Anyway, I thought that
Yeah.
was funny. The free fly event for the freebie accounts is going to have these 4 ships that they chose, and this is all on them that this thing is sitting in there.
Yeah, bro.
I even find it funny in this shot, they went out of their way to make the Argo MPUF cargo really close to the
Yeah.
to the camera because it's so small. If you didn't, it, first of all, the 600i is huge. C2 is huge. The MSR is not so huge, but it's reasonably sized compared to the MPUV.
Yeah.
As I explained, I mean, like even a portion of it's bigger than this entire ship. The MPUV cargo is basically a dot compared to these ships. And any of these 3 ships could shoot this thing down in about 10 seconds, maybe a bit less. 10 seconds, yeah. With a single gunner on the MSR, only with the pilot guns on
So
the
wait,
609.
it doesn't even have any guns or anything then.
It might have 1 or 2 size 1s, maybe.
Yeah.
They're useless. They're utterly useless. Like, no, like they can't do anything. This thing cannot even run a mission. First of all, it couldn't even quantum itself to the mission. And if it was carried in the C2, because I've seen pictures of 2 of these fitting into a C2, not very comfortably, but they fit in there.
Yeah.
If you carried them over in the ship, lost more on the C2's fuel than you made off the mission, mind you, and for whatever reason you and a friend were running that C2 as a joke and grabbed 2 Argos out of the out of the cargo hold and went off in them, they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to complete the mission. They would be blown out of the sky by the NPCs in seconds. They're not meant to be ships. These are designed to be a cargo carrier between 2 ships that defend it.
Yeah.
The idea is that this thing is supposed to be sitting on a Idris. It's sitting on a javelin. It's sitting on a ship that is covered with so many weapons, no one would dare mess with the Argo because it's next to this massive ship. And to be honest, it wouldn't be deployed in a combat environment anyway, unless you absolutely had to. The idea is like between fights, this thing would come out and like just deliver random goods. This thing would
Yeah.
be running the food back and forth between the fleet ships, or running extra ammunition or something to get ready for the next fight. Like it wouldn't be. It's not important, but it is. That's the hard description of the Argo cargo. Is like it's not important, but it is. Like
Yeah.
it's useful. It's a practical ship, especially if you don't want to dock. If you don't want to dock with the other ship, this whole bottom cargo box comes off. That's the one cool thing about the Argos, and I really think it's a nifty idea. Now, all my criticisms of the Argo, if it had a damn quantum drive, like even just an extra small quantum drive with a tiny little fuel tank, almost
Yeah.
all my criticisms would not exist.
But
Because if
because
this thing,
that quantum drive, hey,
exactly, if this thing had a quantum drive, if like they added an extra little box on the top of the Argo cargo and the Argo MPub personnel, etc., um,
yeah.
if there was a little box on top that was like extremely flammable and explosive and like you could shoot it off without even thinking about it, just at least it had it though, or that would be great. I don't think they could do that on top because of the way it's configured. This thing has to sit flat inside the Idris's flight deck on the bottom. There's a small Argo hangar just made for the MPubs. And
Yeah.
then, so I guess up front, like where this flat boxy area would be, they'd have to
Yeah.
have like a super flat variant of the extra, like an extra small quantum drive or squeeze it in somewhere else. I don't even know. Because the geometry on the bottom and the top has to be a specific way. But
Yeah.
if they could fit it in somehow, putting a quantum drive on this thing would suddenly change the game and make it far, far more useful. It's just, but as it stands, it's not much better than a lifeboat. I mean that. Like it's just, it might as well be us. Hell, I'm pretty sure the 890 Jumps lifeboats are nicer than this thing. I've been in them. They're pretty cool.
Oh,
So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. It's just the most ridiculous ship in the game, and it might win the entire season. It might win the entire free fly ship showdown event, and it's also available in the free fly to all these
Ship
new
Showdown
accounts.
2021.
MPuff Cargo all the way, baby. Hey, look, it's still winning. It's winning by 100, and now it's winning by 145 votes.
Jeez, like it.
No, wait, my math is way off. It's winning by 245 votes. 245 votes now it's winning by. Now, granted, there's 23 hours, 38 minutes left, but this is insanity. I mean, this is just craziness.
The definition of insanity.
All right, I'm going to kill the recording. I wanted to thank Magic Monkey for coming out and kind of giving that hot take there and experiencing that live transition from the semifinals to the finals with me. He just happened to be on comms at the moment, and I picked him up. He was somebody who I've played off and on Star Citizen with for a few years now, and we've known each other for years before that from other games and VR chat and some other things. Basically, I would say that he's kind of a great, I guess, everyman for the EU side of house. And I was kind of like the everyman I'd like to think for the US and the North America side of things. But you can see that even somebody who hasn't been in the trenches, so to speak, on this and has no vested interest in this topic he was really surprised at how this kind of results are going and where things are going. And I don't blame him for being a little confused and having fun with it and kind of like, hey, what do you mean by this? And I'm the same way. From my perspective, people are having their fun, they're doing their thing. I think that next year CIG is most likely going to have a rule where it has to be backers that make a vote, and that may change the timing of the free fly. I think also one of the things that may come out of this is if I was CIG, I'd be having an honest discussion about should we give the MPubs the ability to have a short quantum, an extra small quantum drive. Yes, I'm going to harp on that. If it had a quantum drive, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It is an amazing ship. Should it go up for by about $5 USD and get that quantum drive? Yes. Yes, I believe it should have that option at the very least, or have at least an open slot for one that you can then purchase in game and put into it with an extremely small quantum drive. Just being able to get from side of moon to Atmo would be enough. Like, I mean, just once. That's an example of being able to utilize the ship much, much more effectively. Also, I want to iterate that I am not saying the Argos are not a good ship. They come with the Idris, they come with the Javelin for a reason. They are necessary monsters. They are incredibly good at fleet logistics work. And furthermore, even though they're small, they are going to be very useful on outposts where you're operating them near each other. Like I mentioned in the audio from this, they're going to be critical components to any active outpost. Being able to drop containers near active mines and pick up others, because the entire bottom is detachable and it's interchangeable with the personnel versus the cargo. And as many people have already discussed with me on Discord already, even before I made this video, there is hopefully a medical one in the wings, a single bed or type of medical slick that can be thrown down, and suddenly now you can move somebody like an ambulance, but like even smaller than a Cutlass Red, with limited medical supplies, maybe only a single tier 3 bed, and barely enough space to fit somebody in to attend to the injured person. That would be an example of suddenly now the MPUV has an entirely different search and rescue feature set. But once again, it needs that quantum drive, even if it's tied in with the cargo container. If you have to get a smaller cargo area or that medical slick is the only one with the quantum drive, suddenly now the ship would have the ability to have longer legs to get things done. I am not saying the MPUBs are a bad idea. I think they're going to grow into their own right one way or another, especially with more and more ships coming online down the road that will literally have them attached and come with them, and they will become a vital part of the fleet. It's just a matter, and once out persistent outposts are out, but it's just a matter of waiting for those features, waiting for those ships, waiting for those opportunities to happen. That's why I don't believe this is the year for the MPUV Argo Cargo, and if it's a shame because when it's going to win if it is based on social media. I think it's up by like 400 votes right now, and influences like that, and for the jokes and for the fun of it, more so than when it earned it. And that's kind of my complaint. I think if it did it any other year in the future, suddenly it would be because it has a viable place and it's an important logistics vessel, not so much just for the jokes. So that's just my perspective. Take that what you will. If you want to put hate on me, that's fine. If you want to kind of nuance things, I'll gladly discuss this with you in the comments or on as always on Discord, RedJ #0001, or one of the many servers. I'm starting to find people find me on the servers just to chat with me, and that's fine with me. So I wish you all a great day and fly safe, and be sure to vote with your heart, whatever you feel, whether it be the Argo MPUV Cargo or with the MSR. Oh, and just okay, so overtime thing. I believe that there will be a final pack with all four of the semifinalists, and I have some thoughts about this. The final pack, because the MPUV made it to the semi, is going to be significantly less than what would be anticipated. If the Carrack would have made it, for example, it would have made it significantly higher. I think if you're trying to play catch up with like a larger class of ships, and suddenly you've made the decision to make the jump from, say, a starter packs and a few small ships to larger ones, I would, if it does have LTI or at the very least 10-year insurance, and it has that 4-pack of semifinalists, this is a great package. I think that you have you have the C2, one of the logistics vessel of the game right now. I mean, it can fit all the ground vehicles. It can fit a ton of cargo. It can do the Caterpillar's job better in Atmo, arguably. It's just got a lot of everything. It's got even personal storage space, a whole kitchen, living quarters for crew, some weaponry. It's okay at that, but that's just one downfall, is it can't defend itself that well. Its turret placement's kind of abysmal, but that's fixed by the M2, which unfortunately we're not talking about, mostly by the M2, which we're not talking about right now. So let's focus on what is here. So you've got the C2, you've got the MSR, one of the best multi-role ships in the game. And you've got the Argo MPUV cargo, which is the only one that's giving you any kind of like, why is this here mentality vibes. And then finally, you have a 600i Explorer Edition. The 600i Explorer is not the prettiest ship inside of it. Actually, it is pretty, but it's not very useful at the moment. But over time, it will be. It can carry vehicles, just like the C2, just less of them. Obviously, only one Ursa rover, for example, instead of like 3 or 4 squeezed in there. It can do a significant amount of pilot combat. It has 3 forward-facing size 5 guns. It has 2 size 3 shields with large class shields. They're very, very strong shields that just got buffed recently. And it's got 4 racks of size 3 missiles that can be fired up to 4 in tandem. That means a single set. You can literally target a target and fire 4 missiles at it that are size 3s. That is a significant amount of hurt. So if you can keep the target in front of you, the 600i is great. It also has remote turrets and all sorts of other stuff. But the point is, it has big shields to keep things by itself some time and give itself some effort. It can go pretty quick for its size, surprisingly. It's surprisingly, I'm not going to call it maneuverable, but it's not a slouch for its size and for what it is. And it's got all that forward-facing firepower. It is a dream as a single player, believe it or not, to run for Xenothreat incursions and for the Ninetales lockdown. It is just a great ship in it. It has sustainability because the weapons, once you burn through all the size 3 missiles, you have less PvP capacity. But those forward-facing guns are pretty good against the PvE content. And honestly, they're not bad. They're not bad at all. They have serious damage. They're size 5s. So when you're trying to burn through the Idrises and the Hammerheads, it can tear through them like a can opener. Because it's meant to do it. That's the whole point. So I'm not saying it's the most damage. I'm not saying, oh, when the Redeemer comes out, it's going to be the best thing ever. But for a single player, it's not a bad option. And the C2, by the way, I think it's dual size 4 forward facing, and it's got that little turret on the back, all that nonsense. I think the C2 is not meant to fight. And if you follow that approach, you'll understand. Just that's the whole point. Is it's supposed to have escorts. It's supposed to have run away from fights. It's not meant to pick a fight. It's a logistics vessel. And the MSR has dual turrets, one on top, one on the bottom. It has great turret coverage for what it is. It's not perfect. It's a little fat for its own good, but that's fine. It's a good multi-role ship, and it may be a little fat, but that means it has a big cargo area too. So for what it is, it's a shocking amount of storage space in that cargo area. You can roll on vehicles. You can fit it full of cargo. It has smugglers areas that are really fun to play. Has great RP elements. We shoot machinima on it all the time. It's great for those roles if you want to make content. Fantastic ship, and it fits 3 people no problem or less. You can easily run that ship with 2 people comfortably. The only thing you may need to do is the turret. If somebody's manning a turret to defend it, you would have to switch turrets once in a while. Be willing, and they're right next to each other. Literally, the seat is next to the other seat for below and above. So it's a lot like the Connies, where the Connies that are the non-Taurus one have the turrets that are above and below, but the entry points are right on top of each other. So if you need to jump seats because somebody's trying to play the hide below or above game, you can swap out and give them a little bit of a surprise. So, and remember, the pilot should be turning the ship to make it even harder for them to stick into that hiding spot, to make it more disorienting for the enemy player. But anyway, and switch up shield sides. But yeah, so that's just some perspective I have on that. I hope this overtime was good for those who are sticking around for that type of stuff. Sorry I didn't give you more of a warning. I'm going to definitely put in, of course, a chapter like I always do. If you made it this far, please, 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 if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. That's the only little thing I'm going to mention here. And for real this time, have a good day. Fly safe. Be sure to get into the free fly event. You can enter the code with an active account. Enjoy all these ships before you buy them, or any of them before you CCU to them. I recommend CCUing if you're not going to buy a whole pack, especially if it doesn't give you 10-year insurance. Just some perspective. Have a good one.